Live it, love it. We are live in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all music, all sports, and all wrestling matters. Sportswire Radio, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about. I am sure we're going to have no boundaries when it comes to what's going on here in the EWA. We'll certainly give you a parade of punishment, but maybe we'll talk about, well, I am the champion and who's going to be the champion coming up here, because we're just a few short weeks away with it. We got a man that's going to talk about all of it. He was there front and center, and he's back here once again. And ladies and gentlemen, I know people have been waiting for a while for him to come on the air, but I have to give him the introduction. I have to do this introduction because my last few shows on Sportswire before yesterday, I couldn't do the introduction, but I got to do it for this man because he's done so much for our sport. He's going strong for now 4 decades. He is leads one of the premier companies in all of underground and all of pro wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to introduce him and start this show off here in style on Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station where all music, all sports, and all wrestling matters. And I promise you, this intro will definitely hit harder than an Egyptian. So with that, without further ado, here on the Sports Report, #1 cable sports show, the man that is the sponsor of the tuna dog, the man that simply walks like an Egyptian, and the man that certainly is the high authority of the EWA. His name is simply but here we Hubie, happy New Year, and how are we doing?
Oh, we're doing wonderful tonight, Tom. I'm here in the EWA Barn Grill, nice and warm, as I got my minions outside in the cold and the snow arena right now, fixing it for me.
Oh boy, you certainly are the high authority. That's for sure. You definitely sound like a high authority. I might want to call you Emperor Hubie, but we won't do that. We have a lot to talk about here in a short amount of time. The chat is starting to come in, and Hubie will talk about it to recap for those that are listening and watching here in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that you and the EWA most certainly helped build, which is now in the mainstream media. I mean, we now know that Sports has become Parade actually, as I'm actually in Parade today. Parade and a whole bunch of other places.
Parade of Punishment?
Not quite. Parade, the magazine Parade. Actually, the magazine.
Oh, okay.
Parade. Yeah, that one. But we'll get to that later. But you got to talk to me first, before Parade of Punishment, about the highly successful No Boundary show.
Well, Tom, I have to say it was a complete success.
And obviously, the first live show for the EWA. We know about Ashton Day. We know about Patches, Kenny Ice Collins. And to have that show, I think it's going to help you guys leading into what's going to be the next big show. We have another thing before that, but I Am the Champion. It's obviously going to be exciting for you and the guys to have such a successful show.
Yep. The first I'm the Champion was in 1999.
Wow. That was the Y2. That was the Y2K bug. Bill Clinton was just getting over being impeached, and boy, the NBA had just gotten over
the strike. Yeah.
I mean, boy, who would have thought 1999, all these years later, the Browns have came back to football that year, and the Browns certainly came back last week. Hurting some Pittsburgh Steelers fans out there, so life is good, and the EWA has thrived, and you might want to say the EWA was relevant back in 99, but they're more relevant today in 2026.
Oh, definitely bigger and better than ever.
The best is yet to come, and speaking of things that are certainly best is yet to come when it comes to the EWA, and you got to talk to me about Kenny Ice Collins. What a match he and Ashton Day had. I mean, Ashton, we know we spoke a lot about him before No Boundaries, but Kenny Ice Collins certainly proved why, for now, he reigns supreme in the EWA.
Yep, it was everything I was hyping it up to be. You could have put that show on any indie show here across the United States.
And
hands down, it would have fit in anywhere.
And I tell you what, for Kenny Ice Collins to do what he did against Ashton Day, I mean, a man that we spoke about who held in his hands the NWA championship, and for Kenny Ice Collins, and we know what he's went through this year, for Kenny Ice Collins to go out there and continue his run, I'm really excited to see what he's got coming up very soon.
Yep, he's going to be in the main event of I Am the Champion, as a matter of fact, so...
Yes, he is. And speaking of that, before we get into anything, and one of the men, we'll come back to No Boundaries, but Parade of Punishment, the man that won Parade of Punishment, boy, that shade guy definitely threw a little touch of shade there at Kenny Ice Collins, and I'm going to put the footage
stare down.
I mean, that's going to be a wild match. I mean, what do you expect there? I mean, Kenny Ice Collins has been through a lot this past year. The Cleveland Wrecking Crew, we certainly have the likes of Matthew Forsaken. I hope he's alive right now compared another promotion, and then obviously with what happened with Ashton Day. But what do you expect there between Shade and Kenny Ice Collins?
Well, you know, they're only 1-1 meeting in the EWA. Shade won dominantly. So, granted, that was a year ago, but I mean, if that's the sample size you have to work with, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. I mean, you know, these guys have not been in the ring as much, so maybe that in a way favors Shade because everybody knows Kenny Ice Collins, but Shade because Kenny Ice Collins hasn't been in the ring with him much, and maybe he doesn't have the time to prepare for Shade. Maybe that gives Shade the opening to take that EWA championship, especially after winning the Parade of Punishment. I mean, what a slew of names that were in the Parade of Punishment. Obviously, Johnny Velocity was in that. We're seeing Joe Payne, and we see Bob Eagle Sr. I mean, you know, Killshot, Phil Killshot, the infamous Killshot.
Bang.
Yeah, Mr. Bang Bang. He is certainly Mr. Bang Bang. And obviously the Cleveland Wrecking Crew, DJ Storm and Carlos Jackson, they're lurking somewhere. I mean, it was just, you know, Patches with it. There was some really heavy hitters here in the EWA, but yet Shade stood tall and reigned supreme.
You know, I don't think I've ever quite seen a dominant athlete as dominant as Shade.
It's a good point. That's a good point, especially with this field, especially with the names that were in this. I mean, you're talking about this was even an international Parade of Punishment this year. I mean, it just shows you Zook is coming out. I mean, this is why maybe Shade's got momentum, and maybe he's the man to take the EWA championship away from Kenny Ice Collins.
And Shade's kind of got the easy ride the rest of the way. Kenny Ice Collins has got some title defenses, and Shade doesn't matter what Shade does. He punched his ticket. He's in the main event of the Spectacular. EWA's biggest show of the year.
I think that certainly got to favor Shade in that sense. Obviously, there's a lot coming up here. I know we do have an Eternal taping before that, which we'll certainly get to. But obviously, we see Johnny Velocity. He's definitely exiting stage left. And I mean, I wonder what's going to happen here with that. And you got to be impressed one more time with Shade and his dominance, and starting the year off the way he did here, winning the Parade of Punishment.
Yeah, him and Zook make quite a team.
They certainly did, but maybe there's one man that's watching this from afar, and in case Kenny Ice Collins runs into some problems with Shade, and that is Zach Riot, the underdog of the underground at No Boundaries, and we'll come back to him, and because he had a huge victory. He pinned Shade. I wonder what he's thinking about this, the underground underdog, Zach Riot.
Oh, and here's the big elimination. A little tainted, but hey.
It counts, apparently.
You're right, he got
I know management couldn't overturn it. I mean, the reality of it is that Shade wins, whether it was with Zook or not. He's the Parade of Punishment 14 winner, and he's the man right now, and I'm not going to certainly overturn that. And I think the referee did a very smart point in just getting out of there, and I wouldn't mess with these men. We've seen Zook on our screen here on Sportswire in the past, but I mean, yeah, listen, he's raising those fists, and yeah, we're not laying hands on him, to quote Bon Jovi, because there's nothing that would get in the way of that. But yeah, they're dangerous guys. They might be one of the most dangerous groups, certainly in the underground, and especially in the EWA. And Kenny Ice Collins, like I said, has got his work cut out for him.
He definitely has his hands full. He's not. He will never back down from a challenge. He's definitely got his hands full.
We know that from this past summer with his injuries and what he went through with Robert Scott, and also what he went through with the Cleveland Wrecking Crew. And if you are here on Sportswire, before I make the hockey line change, do me a favor and hit the sub button for the EWA, because the EWA's got now, we're closing in on Hubie 270 something subscribers.
Yep.
Remember, we were less than 100. Now here we are. We're moving up the thresholds, and
right in what, 6 months?
I tell you what, Rome wasn't built in a day, but you guys very well may be building this company in a day in terms of your YouTube algorithms, because the EWA is definitely on its way. And do me a favor, hit the sub button for the EWA, and you can see some more footage. And we have a lot to talk about here in a quick amount of time with the one and only high authority of the EWA. And also, we want to give a big shout out to our friends in Revolution Pizza. Revolution Pizza is the best place. You may have had Domino's for New Year's Day, but now put that away and make sure the only place you get pizza, especially in the Ohio area, is Revolution Pizza. And the revolution starts now, especially with a lot of football. It's the last weekend here of the NFL. So you have an opportunity with the games from 1 o'clock on. And we know Steelers, Ravens. I know Hubie's going to be rooting for the Ravens, coming up tomorrow night after the show at Turtle 7. And he's going to do it.
I'm hoping is there a possibility both teams could lose?
Well, there could be a tie, which would technically help the Steelers. But, I mean, nevertheless, the point is that they got a whole day of football, and that's why stay in. It's going to be cold. It's going to be cold throughout the day. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to cook. Don't worry about it. Revolution Pizza will do the cooking for you. They got the best wings. They got the best pizza. They got the best everything. So make sure you go out there and do your NFL last week of the season, week 18 party with Revolution Pizza. So definitely check them out. We'll get to everybody here in the chat. And speaking of people that are double champions, now we got to talk about Patches, because what a war. Speaking of Ashton Day, and he was a man that was in action. I'm going to put that footage up here shortly, but I know he is going to be a big part of things coming up here at Eternal 7, and especially I Am the Champion.
Yep, he's actually in the main event of Eternal 7 here, defending both belts, so that should be an interesting one.
Yeah, double champion. I tell you what, that's going to be interesting. He was just in there with Benny Bones, and obviously you see him out
Eternal
there.
Taping 6, Patreon exclusive event.
Put it up there, but I mean, just, what a war he went through with one man that's in the chat and another man that we mentioned about 5 minutes ago, and Ashton J and Quick Strike Johnny Velocity, who's certainly going to eventually look to quick strike his way back to gold. But I mean, Patches is definitely a guy that he's going to be another one like Kenny that's going to keep fighting, and I'm very excited to see what happens between him and one Carlos Jackson, a man you have no love for whatsoever.
Oh, boy. Every time I come out here, you got to bring up the Wrecking Crew, don't you?
They're a part of the show. I mean, what do you want me to do? Not bring them up? They're a part of the show. I mean, if I don't bring up who Patch's next opponent is, I wouldn't be doing my job according to some in management. So I mean, it's not that I am Team Wrecking Crew all the way, but that's who Patches has to face. And we know Patches has had his markups, or you might want to say, or his dust-ups, maybe the better term would be, with the Cleveland Wrecking Crew. So he's no stranger to them. And Carlos Jackson's going to certainly be on the hunt for gold. And that's a championship he has held once upon a time. And I have no doubt now that's the Revolution Championship. And also we're talking about the Eternal Championship. I mean, a lot to on the line. And the Wrecking Crew would love to take not one but two championships here coming up.
Oh yeah, they'd love to get their filthy little nubs on both those titles. I can tell you that much.
Well, they're gonna have to fight for it. They're gonna definitely have to fight for it. And we see one man that's refereeing, and definitely, yeah. I don't think he's gonna be pulling any triggers. He might be trying to pull triggers out of his pocket, but that's not gonna work. But nevertheless, speaking of the other side of the wrecking crew, DJ Storm's gonna be in action against Zack Ryder, the underground underdog. That's an intriguing match in itself.
Yeah, he came out at the Eternal Taping 6 here to cost the distraction, which caused Zack Ryder to loss to Johnny Superstar. He's because Zack Ryder does have very strong ties to his uncle Chuck Jackson. So
yes, he does, and
even stronger than my ties, and my ties are,
Well, your ties are certainly very important, but and going back to Zach a few minutes ago, one of the things we talked about was his huge victory over Shade, the man that's going to be coming up here in the main event if I Am the Champion, and that's got to be a huge feather in his cap, and it's going to give him that momentum maybe to well, let's just say pull off another upset against one DJ Storm.
Yeah, Zach, I have all the credit to him, all the beatings and all the losses and just all the mental torment those individuals gave him for him to finally team up with Big Daddy Cage and get the win.
Oh, man, what a match that was. What a match and what a moment it was to see Zack Ryder pin Shade. And I know he's certainly going to be watching with what Shade does closely, and he's going to continue, I'm sure, to ride that momentum and get a victory against DJ Storm. And speaking of kill shot, Mr. Bang Bang, because I see him in the ring, and he's always a lightning rod on here. He'll be in action also against Octopi. Certainly, that we'll have to see what happens there now.
Yeah, some fast-paced, lightweight action.
Yes, with kill shot throwing some bang bangs, and yes, that'll
couple
certainly
bang bang, sure.
Interesting. And speaking of people that have been bullied in the past, one Joe Payne, who we just saw, obviously a man that held the EWA championship for a minute there, and also
a New York minute.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's a good point. It was about a New York minute, but he was thrown out of the parade of punishment in about let's just say New York minute. The way that kind of happened there with Zook and him getting thrown out there, and obviously the fashion it was. But he looks to recover here against the future Brandon Steele, and he certainly had his own issues with the Cleveland Wrecking Crew, and that's another match, almost a pick'em.
Yeah, it's kind of a rematch of the three-way match they had when it was those two and Killshot.
Yep. I really be curious, especially with both guys, and they would like to start the year off with a victory. And obviously, these guys have championship gold in their future sights, and it would be really interesting to see who comes away with the victory. And also, there is Patches who walked away with yet another victory. And yeah, I'm definitely not getting in his way. We're going to see him in action here coming against Carlos Jackson. And that's definitely the main event. That's a main event of almost any show out there. And we are very honored to be talking to EWA. We are living and loving it with the EWA. And if you're out there, you can follow the EWA on Patreon. You can also check out the EWA on Facebook, join their group. I'm going to put the EWA Patreon link, which I have here right now, and you should certainly support them and live it, love it. And we're here with Hubie Jenkins. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally, where all music, all sports, and all wrestling matters. Speaking of Bob Eagle Sr. is going to be also out there in action. I'd be really curious to see what happens with Bob Eagle Sr. coming up here.
Yeah, him and Cloud. They're going to take on the North American Connection.
Well, I mean, we've certainly got North America covered in case those tariffs certainly keep.
Well, there you go.
North America. Bob Eagle Sr. is in action. And speaking of Nacho, a person we've certainly seen here in the past when it came to Killshot, Nacho's going to also be in action.
That's right. Tastiest wrestler in EWA history.
Yes, even more tastier than those tuna dogs.
Well, let's not push our luck here, Tom.
That's true. Well, you know what? I'm sure that'll be another short out there, but Nacho is going to be in action, although I'm sure most of the chat would prefer a Nacho, but you certainly don't. But Nacho is going to be in action, but I do know you prefer to certainly watch Nacho out there in the ring.
Oh, yeah. It's always a blast with Nacho. It's always a party. It's always fulfilling Get it?
Hey, it's a great thing you brought up because obviously people are still maybe, want to do a party or two. They have an opportunity by watching Eternal 7. Everybody thought, oh, okay, I'm all partied out with Christmas Eve, Christmas, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. But no, you still got a little more time to party because with Nacho going out there against Cool Blue, whatever, coming up in Eternal 7, you've got a little more time to party before you've really got to go back to the grind in 2026. So you've got one more opportunity here with the EWA and this Eternal 7 show coming up.
And I don't know if you caught that at the end of that Patches match, though, but
yes,
he threw out a huge challenge for I'm the Champion, a challenge to take on Matthew Forsaken.
I was going to bring up Matthew Forsaken because you're going to laugh because in the other company that Matthew Forsaken is a part of, yeah, he was basically buried, and we don't know if he's alive, but apparently, I guess we're going to have to dig out.
Patches threw out the challenge. It wasn't the other way around. So
I understand that. That's why I was going to bring it up and make you laugh, because I guess the big question will be, will Matthew Forsaken, will he, dig himself out of the grave, literally? Will he dig himself out of the grave to answer that challenge? I'm going to put it up here.
Okay,
right
we're
now.
here at the main event.
We'll pull it up right
Eternal Tape.
There we go.
Wait. We're back. We're back here. What is?
Patches
gotta say?
Boy. My beautiful people, my beautiful EWA, it's Douchefat Patch. That's me. I just wanted to let you know, I've been watching a couple of matches and Forsaken. I kind of like you. I'm not going to do what Kenny Conn does because he's a great guy, a great champion. He's an open challenge group. Me, no. I want you, Forsaken, for these two beautiful things.
Whoa!
I want to say me and you one-on-one, baby.
He just challenged Matthew Forsaken?
Oh boy.
Wow.
There you have it. Listen, Matthew Forsaken, who was a part of the Parade of Punishment, and obviously we've seen Matthew Forsaken out there do quite a bit in the EWA. Kenny Ice Collins, he's been in the ring with, and we know he's been in the ring with his brother. Yes, Quick Strike, Johnny Velazquez. I will get to him, but I mean that's definitely a main event anywhere.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that one.
Me too. I love watching.
First time in history, Patches taking on Forsaken.
And it might be the only time, considering Matthew.
Well, hopefully it's the first time. I mean,
yeah,
we're assuming he's not burnt to a crisp.
Well, that's why I say. I mean, we don't know what's left of Matthew Forsaken. That's why I said this might be the only time, because literally the way he was after his last match on Thursday, we'll have to certainly find out, and we're going to certainly also look forward to Johnny Superstar, because Johnny Superstar is also going to be in action as well coming up in Eternal 7.
Oh, yeah. That's maybe the match I'm looking forward to the most.
Me too.
Espiritu and Johnny Superstar. We want to talk about two of the most up-and-coming people, wrestlers in the indie scene in this area. It's these two guys.
Oh, man. You know what? This is why you have to live it, love it. And I know I'm a little early in doing this. I'm going to get to the chat in a minute, but I got to promote it because we're going to certainly be buying a ticket here coming up on February 1st, and we are now just weeks away. As a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, we are 30 days away from this, less than 30 days now.
Oh, boy.
I Am the Champion 19. Yeah, well, it's January 13th, so we're 29 days. We are 29 days away from I Am the Champion 19, and we're very excited about it, and there's no better place to be. And listen, there's no Super Bowl, there's no NFL that weekend. It's the weekend in between the championship game and the Super Bowl, so you got no excuse. But if you're in that area to be there or be square, as we always say. I Am the Champion 19 is going to take place 29 days from now. That's 4 weeks from tomorrow. Doors open 4 o'clock, bell time 5 p.m. It's going to be over at the sports plant there. You got to be there. Euclid, Ohio. Hit that sub button for the EWA. Subscribe on the Patreon channel. Also, hit the like button and follow on the Facebook group, the EWA Center, where you can get with all the great things that the EWA is. We're going to be buying a ticket. We want everybody to go out there and support. You're going to see a lot of the names, what we just mentioned here, and I'm sure we'll see somebody else that's in the chat that's been suspended. Hopefully, he'll show up there. But that's why you've got to live it and love it and support the EWA. We are 29 days away from I Am the Champion 19. That's also sponsored by Revolution Pizza. We've been saying it time and time again. Revolution Pizza is the best pizza. There is no pizza like Revolution Pizza, and I'm waiting for Portnoy to review Revolution Pizza. And when he will review it, he will make sure he gives it a 10.0, not even an 8, 8.4, 7. He'll give it a 10. So you got to support the EWA. And let's get to the chat here before I give you something and talk about some other things. I know it's a very, very busy evening here in the EWA. Zilla's here first. She wanted to say hello, wanted to congratulate Shade on becoming the Parade of Punishment 14 winner. No question about that. She is still a big fan of Shade no matter what. And she loves, likes, respects, and appreciates Shade no matter what. And she supports him no matter what. I think she's definitely a fan of Shade, don't you?
Yeah, Shade's biggest fan. Jeez.
Yeah, definitely. I think she's a Shade fan. Speaking of people that had lost one of those championships that is no longer going to have gold, but will, I'm sure, be a part of things coming up, Mr. Quick Strike Johnny Velocity.
And let me just say, one kick away.
I know.
He went for all or nothing, and if he would have got it, I think he would have just... They would be his belts, but that's the margin of error. It was literally one kick away.
Well, you know what? Unfortunately, he's one kick away, close but no cigar, and he was there, but he didn't get through the door, and that's why Patches, who we just saw, is 2 belt Patches, and that's why he's got the Eternal Championship and now the Revolution Championship, the EWA Revolution Championship. So Johnny was a double champion in his own right. He was the ROEW Prestige Champion and the EWA Eternal Champion, but he's still got the ROEW Prestige title, but he no longer has the EWA title, and I would really be curious to see what Johnny does here in 2026 to get himself another chance at championship gold, because we also know the clock is ticking on his in-ring career.
Unfortunately, I wish we would have linked up earlier, but hey, coulda, woulda, shoulda. We could have never linked up, so.
Well, you linked up now, and we're here, and the end of the day is we make up for it in the best way we can, and we use the time in front of us and the time that's been allotted, and I think we're all happy that we're all connected, and Johnny is certainly still a huge part of things in the EWA, and I'll be curious to see what he does here. You had a strong performance in the Parade of Punishment, was in the Final Four, so Johnny will be back. Hello. Thank you, Zilla. Yes, hello to Johnny, and thank you. But yes, he did lose. Yes, he did lose. And Ashton Day was a part of that match. And Ashton Day, I hope to see Ashton Day back out there in an EWA ring. I'll tell you that much. Not to put you on the spot, but I, for one, hope Ashton Day is back in the EWA.
Let's just say we'll probably get to that next show, but let's just say we do have Ashton Day with a contract for I Am the Champion 19.
Okay, well, I'm sure when you guys come on before then, we'll most certainly talk
about more about it, but just know.
Yeah. Well, we got time. In this case, we do have time. So maybe we didn't have time with you and Johnny to wrestle all those moons ago, but we've got time for you guys. And I Am the Champion 19. Yes, Johnny is still the ROEW Prestige Champion. Yes, and speaking of people that I know you are very much delighted to see tonight, Mr. Robert Scott.
Hey, Bob. He filled his suspension. He went to the proper counseling and anger management and sensitivity training. So he has been reinstated to the EWA.
Well, I would imagine we'll certainly be seeing him very soon, especially with I Am the Champion coming up.
Oh, yeah. You'll see his ugly mug at I Am the Champion.
Well, I mean, if he went to sensitivity training, maybe you need to go there next, because you said things about his face and the way he looks. That would sound like sensitivity training. I actually, this past summer, I think I said this in a previous episode, I went through a sensitivity training. I had a job that it didn't really last long, and actually, for whatever reason, one of the requirements, we had to watch a class on that. So maybe you need to have a class on that as well, but we'll leave that at that. Speaking of people, our enforcer of sports already, Mr. Ox McCoy, wanted to say, Tuna Dog! Yeah, I mean, almost like Daniel Tafura! But yes, the Tuna Dog. And by the way,
yeah, it's not as fun as that, but.
Well, nevertheless, I mean, you must have been walking like an Egyptian to get here, and with your Tuna Dog, I mean, listen, you are certainly the king of walking like an Egyptian, and the Tuna Dog, you definitely you have your quirks. That's why we love you and love you coming on here.
And I love being here, Tom.
And we love having you here. Yes, you definitely deserve the intro and the war chant. And I'll make you laugh. I had on David Ellefson, who was in Megadeth, and we weren't getting the chance to do that intro. And Jumpin' Jim Brunzell was like, no. And then I had on Gus G, who played for Ozzy Osbourne, and it was like, no. So we were doing it for you tonight. You were getting the intro because those guys, they get a pass. If they don't want it, they don't get it. And
you could always hit me with the intro, Tom.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you got it because
except every time you do it, it scares my cat.
Well, I mean, certainly, make sure that you keep the cat in a place that they don't hear the intro. But thank you, Ox, and let's party. We're definitely partying here, and hello to Shane M. Greetings. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we appreciate you. The Egyptian that says hilarious Jim Cornette clip about that. You know what? I'm sure we'll get to that. But hopefully we won't be as long tonight as Jim Cornette podcast. Jim Cornette would sometimes go on
5-hour marathons. I love them.
I was going to say.
Please.
Yes, that I actually one time when I was working once, I actually listened to it and I actually finished where I was working and I still didn't get through the episode. So yeah, we're not going to be on that long tonight. But
Main Event Friend Unlimited, who got me into the Jim Cornette podcast, he always listens to them on ×2. So.
Well, you know what? We thank everybody and whoever is out there. Yes, thank you to Robert Scott, obviously the Wrecking Crew leader. Speaking of people that I haven't seen on in a while, he is the hall monitor of Sportswire Radio, Mr. Justin Parsley. And Mr. Parsley should actually be curious to know that on Monday, I'm here 8 o'clock with a band from his state, Indiana. It's the band Bastion Rose, and their latest album is produced by David Bottrell, who produced the two biggest albums from the band Tool, and he also produced Mastodon and Coheed and Cambria. Yep, he will also work for Peter Gabriel, and he's a 3-time Grammy Award winner. And Bastion Rose is from Justin Parsley's state, Bloomington, by the way. But we didn't talk about those Indiana Hoosiers in football because we didn't want to. We wanted to throw the mercy rule out there. No, I'm just kidding. Nevertheless,
as long as we don't talk about Ohio State.
No, we're definitely not talking about Miami, Ohio State. That's for sure. We're definitely not doing that. And we're not talking about Alabama's performance and why they were in the BCS. We'll move on. Yes, Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year to Mr. Parsley and everybody else out there. Thank you for being here. Zook is out of this world. Yeah, Zook. I mean, I wouldn't want to be his next door neighbor. Put it that way.
I've said it again, and I'll say it again. He is one-eyed duck.
You know, and that's why I'm definitely not getting in his way, and I recommend everybody does the same. Torrance Banks wants to say hello. Thank you, Torrance, for being here. Zook likes me after a match, except, yes, Ox's blood is real, and Zook's who knows? Who really knows? Hit the sub button for the EWA. We want to continue the momentum that the EWA has, and the EWA has been one of those companies we really enjoy having on here on Sportswire Radio. So even if you subbed to the EWA, have your friends sub, their friend sub, their friend sub. You know the drill. So please
link over to that Patreon. It's free.
Patreon page link coming up next.
You go to Live It, Love It EWA. See our first time around. See the first 222 EWA events, highlights, and matches. That's why you have to go out there and support. Yes. And now Zilla's also, obviously, because if she's a fan of Shade, she's got to be a fan of Zook. So that's a good point. We're doing good. Thank you for being here today. Also, we're good. Yes. Hello to Hubie. Robert says PA. Also wants to say, no longer afraid of clowns. So Patches, we have some big plans for you. The Cleveland Wrecking Crew has some big plans for Patches. What do you think about that? All I know is it's the Cleveland Wrecking Crew that took out Patches when his other persona, Sugar Daddy Mo, bopped him so hard in the head he became a crazy clown. So there's a lot of history between those.
Maybe they've learned from dealing with Patches, and they see an opportunity coming up right around the corner here, and we could see it within 24 hours. Maybe the Cleveland Wrecking Crew has not one but 2 championships in their arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a possibility.
Well, we're going to find out. We're going to certainly find out. And he says, can't wait to see everybody in 2026. Absolutely. And follow the EWA, as I said, on Patreon. It's free, costs you nothing. And no better gift, a late gift for the family. And at least we did link up. See, there you go. At least we did link up. See, I mean, you can't change the past. You can only go forward. You guys have linked up, and here we are. Everything's all fine and well. Yes, and I'm going to be a huge part of the EWA in these coming months. I would be really curious on who Johnny goes up against next. He last was on here on Sportswire and talked about he wanted patches. He got patches. He got that opportunity, but we saw Ashton Day get in the mix, and unfortunately Johnny came up short. But we saw also what happened at the end of that match there between the three of them. So I would be really curious on who Johnny Velocity looks to quick strike next.
I'm working on a very special surprise for him, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah,
if it all comes together.
Don't reveal any surprises.
No, I'm just throwing out the little teaser.
I appreciate that, and the reason I say that is because, like I said, we are in the mainstream media now. Because on Sportswire, as you could see, we were in Parade, so you could see it here. It was Parade, yes, the Parade magazine. Sportswire is actually referenced in there, so that's why we don't want Hubie any surprises. So don't reveal the surprise here on Sportswire, because we now know that the mainstream media watches Sportswire. They cover some of these interviews, so I would definitely encourage you not to tell everybody, even if it might get you a couple of extra clicks.
Well, they're going to have to wait and see.
That's why you're here, and that's why we're happy about that. And we want to thank everybody for their support. And let's get to some more comments. It was an absolute, complete honor to share the ring with the one and only Ashton Day. You know what? I'm just throwing it out there. I would love to see Johnny Velocity try to quick strike his way to a victory over the one and only Ashton Day. But who knows? Obviously, who knows? Who knows what the future brings? I mean, Johnny's got to figure out where he goes next for the remainder of his career in the EWA. And Robert Scott wants to confirm, Hubie, what I was telling you a few minutes ago. Sensitivity training was interesting, and I have a new insight. So he has some new insights, and maybe that may be good for the Wrecking Crew, but bad for you.
Or maybe we could, get along. We could hold hands and let, bygones,
It's 2026.
Sing Kumbaya, burn some incense,
Well, we'll have to see. That could be a good idea. I would certainly like to burn some things to warm things up here in the Northeast, but we'll move on. You didn't show. I was glad that you were gonna actually let me do that, because I had some footage here that I wanted to show for the audience, because I did actually want to pull it up and remind people, and maybe remind you, Hubie, about it, and where I'd like to see the one and only quick strike Johnny Velocity go next. And obviously we thought at first they were going to be working as a group together, but not so fast. You'll see. And I mean, just this was certainly a moment, and a great moment, and a deserved moment, a well-deserved moment for the one and only quick strike Johnny Velocity. And Ashton Day is mouthing off, and you don't mouth off to quick strike Johnny Velocity. This man's went through a lot. He's done a lot for this sport. And yeah, Ashton Day, well, he just met a kick, and he's definitely going to be eating that one, and still, well, let's just say getting the taste out of his mouth from that, because that was a quick strike that Jean-Claude Van Damme would be proud of.
And I hate to, speak for Johnny Velocity, but I'm sure that has to be up there in one of his career highlights.
It is. It's got to be. It's got to be. I mean, certainly he's done a lot, and he's done a lot for this sport, but that's a moment that he's going to remember, and we're going to remember. And thank you, Johnny. And a bucket list opponent, maybe. I mean, listen, not saying anything we don't know. We obviously don't know what the future is, but there's a lot of great opportunities here in the EWA. I mean, you mentioned Patches and Matthew Forsaken. That's a big deal. Patches and Carlos Jackson, man, you have no love for. I mean, there's some big matches coming up here. Shade is guaranteed. He's locked in. And the main event, going back to that, I was curious for the audience, and coming back to Eternal 7 here before I give you something. I'm sure Shade's going to be watching from afar here, maybe watching very closely, and what happens here in these several matches. What's your thoughts on that? I'm sure Shade's going to be watching here.
I don't know if Shade has social media, or I don't know if I'd
No,
love
he's
to
gotta
catch
know
Shade
about
on
the
his cell
show.
phone or,
No, but he's got to know about the show.
Yeah, if anything, he'll be lurking in the darkness in the background or something.
No, but he's got to
Peeking
know
through the
about.
window or, I don't know.
No, he's got to know what's going on. He's going to be paying attention very closely. He's going to be watching. I mean, I'm sure he's going to certainly want to see and maybe who knows? Maybe with Zach Riot getting a victory over, maybe he would certainly want to give him a visit. I don't know, but I would still nevertheless have to think that Zook and Shade will certainly be paying attention very closely to what happens here at Eternal 7.
Yeah, they always got their hand on the pulse. I'll tell you that much.
And
Not
I got to
quite
tell
sure
you
how.
they definitely do.
Not sure how, but they do.
And I would love. And I don't even know if Johnny knows that because obviously Johnny doesn't know where Matthew is. But I would be very curious if Matthew Forsaken somehow is alive. Somehow he's dug himself out from being buried alive. And maybe if he has done that tomorrow, maybe he finds a way and is lurking in the Patches and Carlos Jackson match. Because Matthew Forsaken, I mean, he's that kind of guy. I'd be really curious, Hubie, if somehow Matthew Forsaken is alive and has dug himself out of being buried and maybe pays a visit tomorrow.
Right, because they're going to have that match. I'm sure Matthew Forsaken would much rather have those 2 titles on the line than not.
Well, but he also maybe wants to see Patches wounded a little bit. Maybe he wants
Yeah,
to
there you go.
And maybe he wants to scout what Carlos Jackson and the Wrecking Crew. And we know
what works and what doesn't work, sure.
Right, and that's why I'm so fascinated at what's going to be ahead here at Eternal 7. Again, what does Joe Payne do after what happened to him coming up this close and coming this close once again in the Battle Royal? I mean, he's always in the thick of things. Well, how does he bounce back? Brandon Steele, another guy that's had his issues with the Cleveland Wrecking Crew. Then you've got, obviously, Killshot, who's certainly a longtime staple on Sportswire. Bob Eagle Sr. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we saw in Parade of Punishment and at No Boundaries that I'm really curious on how guys bounce back.
Right, yeah, we're starting this year off with a bang. Nice and hot in the middle of this 20-degree weather, I'm telling you.
Yeah, although I can't complain because we don't quite have 20 in New York. It's more like 30, so that would be like summer compared to you guys. But I think we all can agree it's definitely not warm, but it's certainly going to be warm tomorrow coming up here at Eternal 7 because, like I said,
it's going to be warm in that underground arena. It's going to be on fire. And not like Matthew Forsaken.
Well, if Matthew Forsaken comes tomorrow and he's dug himself from being buried, oh boy, things are going to get even more interesting. Like I said, there's a lot of storylines here coming up. But, I got to give this to you because I know you got to run here in a few minutes. And I do want to do this because we always love everything the EWA has done for us here on Sportswire. And I have to because, once again, it is EWA Day here on Sportswire Radio. So congratulations, Hubie, and thank you for your support. Thank you to all the guys in the back, even the ones you don't like the Wrecking Crew, like Zook, like Shade, like Forsaken. But
I mean, maybe we could revisit Bob Scott after his sensitivity training, so maybe,
I got to be honest. I am so fascinated when Bob Scott makes his way back to Sportswire. I know we're going to do that pre-show. I know what's going to happen. I am the champion 19 pre-show coverage. It's going to happen. And Bob Scott's going to be on. He's going to be chomping at the bit on Sportswire. I mean, people, get the popcorn ready. I mean, get the tuna dog ready. I mean, you're going to certainly be walking like an Egyptian to that stream to watch. I mean, I am so fascinated when we get Bob Scott back on Sportswire, what he has to say about sensitivity training, his suspension, and now the Cleveland Wrecking Crew. And what if tomorrow DJ Storm gets a big victory over Zach Riot? What if Carlos Jackson is now a double champion? I mean, I can only fathom what Bob Scott's going to be saying here and celebrate. He's going to have a lot more to celebrate than the Buffalo Bills will, because right now the Buffalo Bills look like, Josh Allen can't even walk like an Egyptian right now. I mean, he's got to stand still to throw the ball. Lucky for him, he's got the New Jersey Jets tomorrow, but it certainly looks like the Bills could be one and done. But if the Wrecking Crew have their way tomorrow, I mean, they could be, all roads, let's just say, go to a Super Bowl like Cleveland Wrecking Crew team coming up here for I Am the Champion 19.
Yeah, I can't argue with it. Don't necessarily like the facts, but I can't argue with it.
There's a possibility of that because, listen, Patches was just in the ring with Benny Bones. We saw that, and now Patches has to deal with Carlos Jackson And we know the history there. Robert Scott said now they've got plans. And also, Mr. Scott would like to say that maybe he'll shake your hand. Who would think? Who would ever think today that would happen?
I guess, it's 20 degrees outside. I guess hell can freeze over,
I got Hubie, I love you, Hubie, but I just realized this. After 44 minutes of talking, do you have one of those robes on?
Hey, this is what we call here in Northeast Ohio robe season.
Who people would think, oh, I'm the rich guy, but you have a bathrobe on. I mean, who would have ever guessed? This is a first. I mean, I give you credit. I could never pull off the robe. Being born in Brooklyn. No, I'm in shorts right now, still in my house. I'm one of those that no, we gotta tough it out. I mean, if you can't. I'm still in a t-shirt and shorts, but I give you a lot of credit, Hubie. You are obviously quite the gentleman, quite the Rhodes Scholar. Nobody else on Sportswire could pull this off.
Hematologist.
That's why nobody could pull this off. That's why we love you here, everything you do. But before we get to closing thoughts, is there anything else that you want to plug or promote before I get to a rather?
Okay, can I get to more of a personal note here?
Of course, you can say anything you want.
So January 3rd, 2026 marks the 13th anniversary of me being sober. I drink anytime I come on here, I drink the non-alcoholic beers. It's just a front. I'm not actually drinking.
Good.
So 13 years ago today, I had my last ever drink, my last ever smoke.
Good.
Haven't touched any drugs since. So.
Well, you know what, Hubie? I want to say that we're proud of you. And I want to say that that's the reason why you're here right now, actually. I guarantee it, because you're here because you made the right decision. That's why you are the high authority. And that's why I really believe the best is yet to come. And you set an example. And that's also why, Hubie, as you know, every time I'm here on Sportswire, I always drink a big gulp. But nevertheless,
Hey,
I don't drink. Period.
We all got our vices.
Yeah, well, that's a vice. I mean, that's definitely a vice. But that doesn't compare to what you and the tuna dog.
You know what goes great with a big gulp?
Tuna dog.
Tuna dog. You know me too well.
I knew that. I knew I was going to walk into that. But no, in all seriousness, definitely, Hubie, I really want to congratulate you, because that is not easy to do. That I get a lot of these rock stars, and one of the things, actually, this is going to lead to you. I had on Josie Scott of Saliva a few months ago, and one of the things when I asked him on advice, did you have any advice for anybody? And he actually said, "Don't do drugs," and that was a very poignant statement that he made, and it still sticks in my mind. So by you confirming with Josie Scott, and we all know Josie Scott.
Yes.
He sold millions of albums. And if he said don't do drugs, and you have been sober now for 13 years and haven't done anything, that confirms and proves what Josie said here on Sportswire. That's an example for all the guys in the underground wrestling circuit, all the guys that come on here from the independents, the pros, the backyard, the promo wrestling world, and even here in the rock world that come on here. By you doing that, Hubie, that is setting an example that is far and beyond what you've done here with the EWA, far and beyond what you've done here for the wrestling community, being a huge proponent of all wrestling matters, being a huge proponent of the tuna dog movement, being a huge proponent of the walk like an Egyptian movement. What you've done here is leadership for our community. And what you've done here is somebody that is making a difference every single day by the way you live your life. And I congratulate you on that. And I want to say that we're all proud of you. And I think there's a few guys that are here and that people will be watching this that I think will also say the same thing. And thank you, Hubie, for being courageous and being bold and honest. Even honest. We talked about today, which will air on Monday with Bastion Rose. One of the things we talked about is honesty. And you, Hubie, are doing that. In fact, there's 3 things that we live by here. Is that community, well-belonging, and results. And you have done that. You are doing that. You are a part of our community. You are doing it for your well-being, your well-belonging, and results. And that's why a rising tide will always lift all boats. And you are that definition of that. And that was famously said by John F. Kennedy and Ronald Reagan. And you are definitely living by that. Hubie Hefner. I mean, definitely. Listen, who knew that the EWA arena was the same place for the new Playboy Mansion? Wasn't Hugh? I mean, listen, Hugh Hefner wasn't born too far from you guys.
Minus all the women.
Well, you know what? Listen, I mean, we'd all love to see some of that, but hey, listen, God has a plan. Thank you, Johnny.
Hey, I'll settle for one. Okay.
Yeah, well, I think we'll all agree with that. Yes, we will agree with that. We want just one. I'm proud of you being sober. Yes, agreed with that. And Zilla's proud of you, and
Thank you.
that's why I think Mr. Robert Scott does want to shake your hand. That's why it's EWA Day. I mean, that's another reason why that this is. And I actually knew, Hubie. I read your Facebook, and I knew this was coming, so I wanted you to address it. So I'm happy you did, and I want everybody in honor of all the things that Hubie has done for the community and his responsibility that he's taken for himself, but also for so many wrestlers getting an opportunity. Hit the sub button for the EWA. You got to hit the sub button for them.
Yeah, get it up.
And I want to say, look, speaking of people that always do a great job here in the community, we got the United States champion, the one and only final chief himself. Wanted to say hello and thank you. And we were talking Il Drago about Hubie, who's now 13 years sober, 13 years to the day. What an accomplishment that is, 13 years. And speaking of people that are also up at 3:16 in the morning, the one and only Jam Dog. Speaking of Hall of Famers, he was out there on the other side of the world. Hubie, people are coming out there for you.
International crowd. They love the booyah.
They're proud of you, Hubie. They're proud that you're 13 years sober. They're proud that you're living each and every day as an example. They're proud of what you're doing for the wrestling community. They're proud for what you're doing, being the man that sponsors the Tuna Dog movement and being responsible for walking like an Egyptian. No, you were doing so many great things, and we're so happy that you're with us. We're so happy that the EWA is with us, and want to point out one more time. Hit the sub button for the EWA on YouTube. Follow them on Patreon. Also check them out on Facebook.
No, can I throw something in here real quick?
You can say, Hubie, you can say anything. You can take
if
over
you
the
check
mic.
out that Facebook and you see that Ashton Day versus Kenny Collins match, 2.6 thousand views.
I was going to put that up in a minute. How's that make you feel?
Oh, that's such an accomplishment.
The biggest feud match in the EWA's history.
That might have been the biggest match in history, and it's the most popular match in history as well.
It's the most feud match in the EWA's history. And we know Ashton Day is a man that has held the NWA championship in his hands. And you had him here in your company, and people seem to like it, and they love that match, and they lived and loved it. And there it is, and you could see why it was such a great match, and you can see Ashton Day in his glory, and he's here, and Kenny Ice Khan's a man has done a lot of great things. And these are two men. It was one hell of a match, and Ashton Day did two for the price of one that day. Just ask Johnny Velocity, and you can see some of that footage here. And we're very proud of the EWA, very proud of the company's success, and we have a show coming up here, which is going to take place on February the 1st. It's the second live show the company has in its history, and it's called I Am the Champion 19. And you can support them by going to their Facebook page, YouTube, Patreon channels, and finding out what the EWA has to offer. And yours truly will be buying a ticket once again. And we look forward to sponsoring and supporting the show and having some of the guys on here coming up. So please support them. And we're really excited. We really want to thank you, Hubie, for everything you've done for us and all the support. We appreciate you and all the guys, even the ones that you sometimes don't like. And I do want to pass the baton to you and give you some closing thoughts.
Well, I just want to say the feelings mutual there, Tom. I'm happy to be part of the Sportswire community. All wrestling matters, and happy you take time out of your day to interview fellas like me.
Oh, stop, Hubie. You could always come on Sportswire. Come on. Yes, I know we get the big boys to come on here, but you're always welcome, Hubie, too, even with the bathrobe on. You wouldn't catch me dead, though, with the robe. You know, it's funny. I'll make you laugh. One time, I had an aunt, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago, bought me, like, pajamas. I never wore them. We donated that to the veterans community.
I got the pajama pants on right now.
I'm sure you.
Like I said, I'm in nice lounge mode. Well, I got my goons outside doing the ring. So
yeah, that's because you're. I mean, what's your business, man? But I'm more. Listen, I'm DIY. I'm in shorts right now. I'm in shorts. There's no. You couldn't catch me dead. You could do it, Hubie. You could pull it off. You got the looks. That's who you are. You're the high authority, but you couldn't catch me dead in a bathrobe. You couldn't catch me dead in pajamas. You couldn't catch me dead in slippers, but you probably got them all.
All I wear is a bathrobe and scrubs.
Well, you couldn't catch me dead in them. No, trust me, you could. It was funny. I always joke I'm kind of like the Jimmy Buffett and Sammy Hagar of doing these things because I'm short in t-shirts all the way. But tell Ashton Day that this Uso appreciates him and probably don't remember me, but one love. Wow, what a small world. That Il Drago and Ashton Day know each other. I would never have guessed it. Il Drago messaged me on Facebook, and I'll have to bring it up because I would love to see Ashton Day on Sportswire one day. Maybe you can let him know, considering who's been on my platform. I'm sure Mr. Day would. Maybe he would.
Yeah, I could throw in a good word with him.
Yeah, I think so. Right? I mean, I'm only in Parade magazine today. I mean, I'm only in Parade. So I mean. Yeah, I mean, Taylor Swift's in Parade. It's funny. Me and Taylor Swift are in the same magazine today, so I'm sure he'd want to come on here, and not a big deal, right? I mean, Parade magazine. I mean, me and Taylor are in the same magazine. I mean, so I'm sure that he can find a way. And thank you, El Drago, and we'll connect. And love to see El Drago back on Sportswire. And thank you, Johnny. Thank you for all you do for our sport. Thank you for everything that you do in the community, and we appreciate you very much. And we appreciate everybody here. Hubie, you're the best, Hubie. Hubie, you are the best. You're the best, Hubie. I love you, Hubie. That's why I love your humor. You can be here anytime, Hubie. You don't have to worry about it. You'll always have a spot on Sportswire. So don't worry about that. Humor. Yes, thank you, Hubie. That is the high authority of the EWA. I'm going to let his guys come back into the arena and warm up now because these poor guys have been working outside. They can't come in now because Hubie's here on Sportswire. But a couple of things here. Please support Revolution Pizza. Please support the EWA on YouTube. Please support the EWA on Patreon, Facebook, and support all the people here in the chat.
And now on TikTok.
Yes, and by the way, shout out to Scotty Scary Perry because he's been promoting on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere.
Oh yeah, he's the promotion machine.
He's the man, and he was upset at a country singer today. So just ignore that comment. But he does post a lot of stuff on the EWA pages. Give him a shout out. He helps us also on Instagram and TikTok. And also, Mr. Scott said he would take yours truly over Taylor any day. Well, I mean, Taylor's taken, so thank you. But nevertheless, Taylor. Well, I'm gonna now, since I'm in the mainstream media, I'm going to be saying I'm pleading the fifth on a lot of things. I'm going to take that path. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It is one more time EWA Day here on Sportswire Radio. Live it, love it. We definitely talked about a parade of punishment with some no boundaries, but definitely we're on our way to an eternal 7 where the EWA for forever will be permanently champions on Sportswire Radio. And who knows? Maybe Il Drago, the final chief, could make his way to the great state of Ohio. Who knows? Who knows what the future may bring? And
door's always open for people.
I would love to see that. I would love to see that. I would endorse the final chief any day of the week. He's a tremendous competitor. By the way, he would be a great opponent for Patches. He's another guy. He fits. He's got that ring style. Johnny knows him. Johnny's been in the ring with him. Johnny's lived with him, by the way. Johnny has lived with Il Drago a year and a half ago at that little thing called Summer Bash. So Johnny knows him very well. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. My voice does hurt because I actually did pre-record a show today for an hour and a half. So we are going to go, and we'll see you tomorrow. We'll talk about the fallout from Eternal 7 very soon. And Monday, 8 o'clock, Bastion Rose frontman Austin Frank. But until then, like, share, and subscribe to the EWA. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio, where all music, all sports, and all wrestling matters. Thank you, everybody. Congratulations on 13 years sober. The best is yet to come. And have a great night, and God bless.